Hello, everyone. Serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer was beaten to death this morning at the state prison in Portage.
Patty, he died of massive head injuries. Andrew Bohag joins us now with more on the Dahmer attack. Andrew?
Jeff and Patty, Dahmer was pronounced dead at 9:11 this morning in Portage after he was found in a pool of blood in a recreation area bathroom at the prison. Another convicted killer was seriously beaten in the same attack, and the suspect in the beatings is another inmate. The Department of Corrections says Jeffrey Dahmer was not in isolation, that he was living with other inmates, and there were no immediate safety concerns.
We did not believe that Mr. Dahmer was at undue risk.
But this morning at 7:50, Dahmer, along with convicted killer Jesse Anderson and a third inmate, went to a gym area in the prison to clean. There were 2 guards and a supervisor in that area. One of the guards left to get 2 more inmates, and at 8:10, Dahmer was found in a pool of blood in a bathroom. Jesse Anderson was found severely beaten in another bathroom area. Sullivan says the third inmate who was cleaning is the suspect.
And I believe the suspect was in the housing unit, the same as Mr. Dahmer.
Sullivan says there is no indication of what the motive was or that Dahmer was in any way a marked man.
We did not hear rumors to that effect. We did not believe there was a contract out on his life.
Sullivan said late this afternoon that he doesn't know if Dahmer and Anderson were beaten with something or if they were slammed into the tiled walls and floors in the bathroom. They're doing an autopsy on Dahmer this afternoon. Sullivan did say that Dahmer and the suspect had been working together on this cleaning detail for the last 3 weeks without incident.
Dahmer was attacked earlier this year. Is there a connection, or was it a sign that he was, in fact, a marked man?
According to corrections, no connection between the 2 attacks. Sullivan said staff at the prison and Mr. Dahmer himself considered the earlier attack in July an isolated incident. Sullivan said Dahmer had never complained that he felt unsafe, either in the housing unit in which he was living or on the work detail that he was on this morning.
All right, we'll be following. Thank you, Andy. Just after 12 noon today, a seriously injured Jesse Anderson was admitted to Madison's UW hospital. At this hour, Anderson is listed in critical condition. While most of the attention of today's attack is focused on Jeffrey Dahmer, Anderson's crime also made him notorious. Reporter Tony Ganley joins us now from UW Hospital with more on Jesse Anderson and his fight for life. Tony?
Authorities say that 2 members of Jesse Anderson's family have come here to the UW hospital to be by his bedside. Now, 2 years ago, Anderson's crime shattered his family and aggravated racial tensions in Milwaukee. On the surface, there seemed nothing wrong with the Anderson family picture. But in the spring of 1992, a day out for the Cedarburg couple ended with both Jesse and Barbara Anderson being stabbed.
The woman that was stabbed was hit 5 times in the head and is unconscious. Okay. And he wanted me to call you. Okay.
Jesse Anderson said a black man wearing an LA Clippers cap and another African-American man had attacked he and his wife. But police later found that Anderson himself had bought this cap from a teenager at a mall. They also found that the murder weapon was Anderson's fishing knife. Jesse Anderson continued to deny that he killed his wife, but his wife's relatives felt the guilty verdict in Anderson's trial was the right verdict.
We feel that justice has been served. However, the decision is a very hollow victory for all of us. The loss of Barb is never going to be filled, but knowing that the killer brutally stabbed his own wife is going to jail for life is the only satisfaction that we have left.
Detectives with the Columbia County Sheriff's Department and investigators with the State Justice Department's Division of Criminal Investigation are hoping to talk to Jesse Anderson if he recovers from today's attack. I'm Tony Galley reporting live from UW Hospital.
Who did this? Corrections has a suspect. For more on that, let's go to Rachel Kisko in our newsroom. Rachel?
Patty, the suspect is an inmate who had been on the same work duty as Jeffrey Dahmer and Jesse Anderson. The past 3 weeks, they all cleaned bathrooms. He and Dahmer lived in the same housing unit. Columbia County Sheriff's officials have not released his name, but we have been told he was sent to the Portage prison in 1992.
The only information I can give you, because this is still obviously under investigation, is that he is an inmate who came from Milwaukee County, and he is on for first-degree intentional homicide.
Mike Sullivan tells us the suspect was bloody when they got to him this morning, but Patty, they're really not telling us much more than that because of the ongoing investigation.
Jill, what has happened to that inmate? Where is he now?
Well, he is still in the Portage prison. He is in segregation in a single maximum security cell, and he is the only suspect in this morning's attack.
As you probably remember, Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested in the summer of 1991 when police found his apartment full of body parts.
In July, Dahmer admitted to killing 17 young men and boys, 16 here in Wisconsin and another in Ohio. In February 1992, he was sentenced to mandatory life in prison for 15 of those counts.
News of Dahmer's death comes as a big shock for the families of those victims, but it doesn't begin to end their pain, as Shannon Tager reports.
It is impossible to forget the gruesome images of July 1991. Milwaukee police dragging bags of severed human heads and other remains of at least 11 victims, some of them packed in this refrigerator. Dahmer admitted to luring the men to his apartment, killing them, then eating their body parts, crimes that will stay with Milwaukee forever.
Terrible as the impact of his killings in Milwaukee were. There is no satisfaction in murder.
There is no satisfaction either for the families who lost their loved ones to Dahmer. 31-year-old Anthony Hughes of Madison was one of his victims. His mother said today her grief does not stop with Dahmer's death.
He just come into my life and just reaching and just pulled my heart out, just twisted everything apart. And by him being dead, it still don't stop because it was done before he died.
Annette Lacey says she'll never recover from losing her brother Oliver. Dead or alive, Dahmer has robbed her of everything.
That pain's still there. Okay, because I don't have my brother. I can't talk to him. I can't go see him or nothing.
What is your reaction to the news of Jeffrey Dahmer's death? That is tonight's Street Talk.
I find it rather disturbing. I'm sure we all have something coming to us, but I think that's rather kind of a cheap shot, and it's too bad that they allowed that. The correctional system allowed that to happen.
You're not joking. That's really true that happened? Oh my gosh.
I think anybody in prison is at risk, especially people who commit those kinds of crimes.
Well, he can deal with his problems in the afterworld, in the afterlife.
And that is tonight's Street Talk.
In other news, David Spanbauer was formally charged today with abduction, rape, and murder in the death of 12-year-old Cora Jones. The Oshkosh parolee already is facing 8 charges in the shooting death of a 21-year-old Appleton woman and other crimes, and he will likely be charged with killing 10-year-old Ronnie Eichstedt of Ripon 2 years ago. According to the criminal complaint, Spanbauer killed Cora Jones 5 or 6 hours after kidnapping her. Her arms were tied behind her back, and she was stabbed and strangled.
An accused rapist made his first appearance in court today. Ronnie Metz was charged with the rape of a Monona woman October 16th on Tompkins Drive. He faces 2 counts of first-degree sexual assault with a weapon. Monona police also suspect Metz in several other break-ins and rapes. He's in the Dane County Jail on $20,000 bond. And Madison police have arrested 2 more people for that Thanksgiving Eve shooting. 20-year-old Dawn Sobieski and 23-year-old Dennis Franklin were arrested yesterday. Franklin has been charged with attempted first-degree homicide. Last Wednesday, 19-year-old Antoine Buzzy was shot on West Broadway. Police have also arrested 3 teenagers.
The wind played havoc with some repairs on the city-county building in Madison today. The CCB roof is under repair. The wind blew some of the new material off the roof and onto Doty Street and Martin Luther King Boulevard this morning. Building officials say the material damaged 3 cars that were parked on those streets. When will the wind die down? Bob has our forecast from Weather Central next.
Plus, we're going to see how residents to our north and west are faring after their first big snowfall this year.
And in tonight's house call, Dr. Bob tells us whether bathing your cat really helps your allergies. Stay with us.
This is Channel 27 News, straight to the point, with Patty Lowe, Jeff Gillen, and Bob Lindmeyer. Channel 27 News continues with Bob Lindmeyer weather.
We set a couple of records in the past couple of days. Yesterday, a record amount of rain, over 1 1/10 inches, setting a record that goes back over 100 years. Today, we finally had some snowfall, our first snow of the year. This makes it the latest first snowfall ever recorded this late in the year. So a couple of records in just 2 days. Of course, we have some wintry weather out there now. We have a steady light snow falling, starting to accumulate a bit on the roadways. Temperatures at 30. Winds are west of 22, gusting to 31 miles per hour. That puts the wind chill factor at 3 degrees above zero. Let's take a look at the snowfall on our next Doppler radar. And you'll notice that the snow has been gaining in intensity over the last couple of hours. It's been becoming more widespread. And again, the intensity has been picking up. It's a steady light snow that's falling out there now that's going to persist for the next couple of hours. So again, it looks like it will accumulate on the roadways a bit, causing some slippery spots and stretches. If you're driving around this evening, beware. It looks like there will be at least a few travel problems. The storm system itself is now pushing well to our north. The satellite view shows that. The storm system is spinning around and going up to our north now, centered over Lake Superior. It traveled right across Wisconsin yesterday and last night, leaving the heaviest snow band off to our west and north. Snow cover is substantial to our west and north, and the snow depth map shows that. Look at this, 5 inches in Wausau, 2 inches at La Crosse, 6 inches at Eau Claire. By the time you reach Superior, they have 11 inches on the ground. Around here, snow amounts will stay under an inch, but it looks like there will be some accumulation again through the evening hours at least. Forecast map for tomorrow still shows a very wintry weather picture. Skies will be mostly cloudy. There's going to be some occasional flurry activity, but little if any accumulation. Winds will be lighter than today, but temperatures will stay cold. Outlook for Wednesday calls for a slight improvement. I think the sun's going to start to peek out a little bit, but temperatures are going to stay a bit below normal for this time of year. Forecast details go like this. For this evening, windy with a steady light snowfall. Temperatures near 30 degrees, west winds gusting to 25. Later on tonight, an occasional light snow will fall with diminishing winds, a low of 26, west winds 10 to 15. The outlook for Tuesday, cloudy, occasional flurries, high 31, and Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies with a high near 34 degrees. So again, watch out this evening, a few travel problems.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Well, that major winter storm blew through the Midwest over the weekend, bringing rain, freezing rain, drifting snow, and tornadoes. In northern Indiana, the driver of a car was killed when he was crushed by a falling tree. There was major property damage near Terre Haute, and tens of thousands of people were without power.
And Patty, that snowstorm has left 2 people dead in North Dakota. The 2 were in a car that smashed into a van. And the first blast of winter also left quite a calling card in Minnesota. 5 to 15 inches of snow fell from the Iowa border to Duluth. The weather there caused hundreds of car accidents across that state.
And in Tennessee, 3 people died when a tornado blew through Germantown yesterday. 2 men were killed when a house collapsed during a family celebration. Authorities say a 75-year-old woman died when a tornado destroyed her home. 16 people were in the home when the twister hit. 1 person is still missing. 13 are hospitalized.
2 more studies endorse early mammograms. That story's coming up.
And in tonight's Money Talks, the Midas Touch.
Next on Money Talks, gold may be a great investment, and you don't need to be Midas to make it.
Channel 27 News continues with medical news and breakthroughs.
Topping our medical report tonight, another reason for women to get mammograms. 2 new studies say women in their 40s should have the test annually. Researchers say self-exams weren't enough for breast cancer detection. Just last year, the National Cancer Institute withdrew its recommendation that women start getting mammograms in their 40s. Instead, it said women and their doctors should decide together whether to take the exam.
If you're allergic to cats, listen up. A while back, you probably heard those sayings, those studies saying that if you bathe your cat, you will cut down what makes you sneeze. Well, not so, says Dr. Bob in tonight's House Call.
There are some cats in this world who are plenty ticked off with some allergy researchers who suggest bathing them. Turns out it may not be that important. Now, the thinking was that bathing the cats might wash off some of the allergic materials, such as dried saliva. It seemed reasonable. Who could argue? Well, Charlie Klukla from Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit groomed 24 mongrel cats. They were bathed, they were wiped, and a few were sprayed with a medication called Allerpet C. He then put the cats in a glass booth and sampled the air around them, and found no difference between the treated cats and the mongrel cats he had left in peace. Well, this is good news for the cats of the world, bad news for people with cat allergy, a common and potentially serious allergy responsible for nasal and lung problems. The only successful treatment for allergy to cats, avoid them. So for those of us who told you to wash your cats, we apologize. Science marches back and forth. Take your antihistamines, leave your cat alone. I'm Dr. Bob Lanier.
In business news, good news if you're looking for a job in the Midwest. A survey by Manpower Incorporated says the job outlook for the beginning of 1995 is the best it's been for 5 years. In Madison, 27% of companies expect to increase their workforce. 20% expect to decrease it.
It looks like Joe Camel will go to court after all. The Supreme Court today refused to kill a California lawsuit. That suit says the cartoon character entices kids to smoke. R.J. Reynolds had argued the lawsuit should be thrown out of state court. The High Court did not give a reason for turning down the appeal. And guess what? The VW Beetle is making a comeback. Volkswagen says it is planning to sell a new version of the Beetle here in the U.S., Canada, and down in South America. Production will start in 1998 or 99. The new Beetle will cost between $12,000 to $13,000.
In the early 1980s, gold was hitting an all-time high, but these days prices aren't glittering nearly as much. Opportunity? Maybe. Here's Stacey Johnson with tonight's Money Talks.
For thousands of years, people have been obsessed with the Midas metal. Gold coins, gold bullion, shares of gold mining companies, even gold jewelry, all have been touted as golden investments. But the fact is that over the last 14 years, gold's been a crummy investment. In 1980, ounces of gold were changing hands at around $800. Nowadays, barely $400. Not exactly the way fortunes are made. Why the decline? For one thing, supply in recent years has outstripped demand. Also, gold has traditionally been a hedge against inflation, which hasn't been much of a problem. Finally, gold's value as a hedge against political uncertainty has been largely replaced by sophisticated currency trading. Has gold forever lost its luster? Well, I don't think so. In fact, I think gold may be a great place to tuck away a few bucks over the next year or so. You know, inflation's been picking up steam lately, and some experts are saying that demand may soon outstrip supply. Now remember, gold is a very, very risky investment, but if you're up to it, here are a few ideas. The Fidelity Select Precious Metals Fund, Vanguard Specialized Gold Fund, and Benham Gold Equities Index Fund all have reasonable minimums, especially for IRAs, and low or no sales loads. We're talking more about gold in this month's issue of the Money Talks newsletter. You can get a copy by sending me a self-addressed, business-size stamped envelope. For Money Talks, I'm Stacey Johnson.
A Chicago police chase kills 3 people. We'll have that story coming up. And the attack on a Bosnian town continues. World headlines are next.
Stay ahead of the morning paper with the College Football Scoreboard, Saturday nights at 10 on WKOW Channel 27. Brought to you by Weaver Auto Parts.
If you have just joined us, our top story tonight, serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer is dead.
Authorities say he was beaten to death in a prison bathroom this morning. Another high-profile inmate, Jesse Anderson, who was convicted of killing his wife, was seriously hurt in the attack. Authorities are questioning a third inmate who was on a cleaning detail with the 2 victims. Dahmer was convicted of killing and, in some cases, cannibalizing 16 young men and boys. He was serving a life sentence.
A wild police chase in Chicago leaves 3 people dead. It happened early this morning. Police were chasing a van from a drug investigation. The chase took place on a downtown expressway. The van suddenly drove into oncoming traffic. It hit a car head-on. The car's driver was killed. So were 2 people in the van. 2 other people in the van were hurt. Around the world tonight, the fighting is getting more intense in northwest Bosnia. Serbs have moved into the town of Bihać. Bihać is a UN-declared safe haven. NATO threats and attacks have done nothing to slow down the Serb assault. Now there's word the Serbs are closing in on a hospital that is overflowing with patients.
A standoff between Palestinian dissidents and Yasser Arafat loyalists may be nearing an end. It started last Friday when Arafat followers tried to take control of a Lebanese refugee camp. The dissidents had threatened to attack the Arafat loyalists if they didn't leave, but the deadline is passed, and so far nothing has happened.
President Clinton is trying to round up support for the GATT World Trade Agreement. Mr. Clinton had a rally today for GATT at the White House. The GATT is expected to be passed tomorrow by the U.S. House.
Princess Diana caused quite a stir in Paris today. She came to town to help with a charity fundraiser. Hundreds of people packed the streets to catch a glimpse of Diana. Some people were angry she didn't get out of her car to greet them.
Wendy Warren is live in our satellite center now with a look ahead to tonight's primetime lineup. Wendy?
Well, Jeff, the news doesn't stop after Channel 27 News at 5.
Coming up on World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, in Bosnia, NATO appears both unwilling and unable to stop the Serb assault on Bihać. The serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer is killed in a prison attack. And in Washington, the historic transfer of congressional power gets underway.
Then on Channel 27 News at 6, we'll continue our coverage of Jeffrey Dahmer's murder. At 6, hear from the minister who recently baptized Dahmer. He spoke with Dahmer the day before Thanksgiving. Also at 6, I'll have the latest medical news for you in the Medical Minute. And our 6 o'clock news is followed by Entertainment Tonight at 6:30. Then 2 episodes of Coach back-to-back at 7 and 7:30 before the Monday Night Football kickoff at 8. Tonight, the 4 and 7 Saints host the 49ers in New Orleans. A San Francisco win means they clinch the NFC West title and would tie Dallas for the best record in the NFL. Then on Channel 27 News after the football game, we'll have the latest on a search for a suspect in the Dahmer murder. Be sure to join us after the game. That's a look at what's on Channel 27 this Monday night. I'm Wendy Warren.
Hillary Clinton got into the Christmas spirit today.
Right. She carried off a First Lady tradition in Washington. We'll tell you about it when we come back.
First Lady Hillary Clinton officially kicked off the holiday season at the White House today. Mrs. Clinton was lifted to the top of the national Christmas tree on a hydraulic lift. She placed a stained glass star atop the tree. Mark December 7th on your calendar. That's when the president is scheduled to light the tree.
And finally tonight, just another reminder that we are once again collecting toys for tots. The toys are given to kids who might otherwise go without, and you can drop off new unwrapped toys right here at Channel 27. Also at various locations around Madison, like Walmart stores, Caldwell Bankers, VM Realtors, and Discovery Zone. And you can also bring them to Kmart,
Willow Apartments in Middleton, and the Bank of Cross Plains. And if you want to register for the program, here's that number to call, the Community Action Coalition at 266-9735.
And it is a wonderful thing to do. We don't mind getting crowded with toys. So please bring them.
That's our report this evening. Thanks for joining us.
See you at 6.